Hallihallo, habe die Ehre, herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Game hier. Wir spielen das Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Version. Das Game gab es im Steam Sale. Dachte mir, yeah, why not? Probieren wir es doch einfach mal aus. Ob es denn auch YouTube-fähig ist und was denn hier passiert und sowieso. Dann würde ich sagen, einfach ohne ein großes Rumgeschnacke. Gehen wir direkt ein. Da rein, da rein.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Das soll ich jetzt tun? Okay. Okay. Wow. Also tief drucken. Was für Corporation ist das? Partition. Okay. I'm stepping out of my office. Und nun?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Besprechungsraum. Warum ist die Tür hier offen? 427 sind wir. Einfach mal so zu merken. Was? Now to use help. Window exit.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh, ich hasse sowas. Ja. Ich wollte so oder so durch die Linke, bevor er irgendwas gesagt hat.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Was ist denn das für ein... Ist das bescheuert? Ist der Beamer da oben? Kann hier in den Weg stellen? Mausslide und der Slides. What the fuck? Okay. Ja. Wieso machst du wirklich teilweise präsent? Ich liebe solche Sidekicks einfach, weißt? Skip Spring Break. Der Office. Jetzt zeig das von vorne wieder. Aha. So. What? Türen. Warum?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ist aber was. 1000% ist hier was.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Okay. Doch.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Sweet FA.
Are you really still in the broom closet?
Ja, bin ich.
Standing around doing nothing? Why?
Warum
Please
nicht?
offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Ja. Lass mich doch. Darf so spielen, wie ich will. Nicht wie du willst.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Warum würde sie dann erstellt, diese Besenkammer?
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Ja, pissig wird auf mich.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Das war's? Ich finde schön, wie Interaktion einfach dieses Tastengeräusch ist. Okay, wir machen weiter.
second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ja, komm, wir folgen ihm. Wir folgen ihm jetzt mal, dem Erzähler, ne? Okay. Executive Bathroom. Money in the morning, money in the evening. Money for breakfast, money... Das ist doch ein Lied, oder? Ja. Dachte, da war noch was. Da ist halt aber auch niemand da, gell? Jetzt einmal so gesagt. Wow.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ist wahrscheinlich wieder so viele Möglichkeiten, das zu spielen. Ist spät ist. Ja. Schaut jetzt gerade mal so aus im Büro, ne? Ich wollte eigentlich nach oben drücken. Aber ist okay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Wir gehen jetzt einmal dem Sprecher nach, ne? Okay, das kommt jetzt wieder.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
So. Ja klar finden wir das raus. Dafür sind wir ja hier, oder?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Unser Büro. Schau genau drauf. 427. Na?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ich komme hier nicht hoch. Alles offline. Alles offline. Alles offline, alles offline. Aha. Aha. Da geht's in the void. Keine Ahnung. Müsst ihr wahrscheinlich alle hintereinander drücken, oder? 1, 2. Hey. Dann wird das da oben die 4 sein. Das wird die 5 sein, ne? Gehen wir mal rein.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ich sag mir mal nach dem Sprecher.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Habe ich jetzt gerade das Spiel durchgespielt? Aha, okay. Das war Ending Nummer 1. Gespielt,
All of his
durchgespielt.
co-workers were
Uha.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich hätte mir den Code aufschreiben sollen. Ganz definitiv. Also, wir gehen jetzt nicht links
This was not
zur
the correct way
rechten.
to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really worth it being here. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Okay. Wir machen jetzt einfach mal das, was wir wollen. Ist ja auch Sinn und Zweck irgendwie der ganzen Geschichte.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
What the fuck?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Okay. Was passiert jetzt? Aha. Hä? Hä?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Nein. Natürlich nicht. Kann ich mich weigern?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing
Ich hab's
of
jetzt
him,
gedrückt.
and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Okay.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Wie lange muss ich da warten? Ja, das ist quasi mein Büro. Ja, wenn ich jetzt P drücke, bin ich wahrscheinlich wieder in meinem Büro. Und das ist genau die Türe, wo es rausgeht. Das war jetzt nicht P. Keine Panik. Steht hier drauf? Ja, wenn ich nichts drücke, passiert nichts. Das ist mir schon klar. Verstehe ich auch voll und ganz, aber ich weiß jetzt auch nicht, ne? Dass das jetzt so geil ist. Und sonst so, wie läuft's bei euch? Also. Ich drück mal P, ne?
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Okay, R, um nichts zu hinterfragen.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried
Der
again,
stirbt.
and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Okay. Wir machen hier mal einen Cut. Wir wissen jetzt grob erstmal, was passiert. Aber wie wir hier rauskommen, wir versuchen einfach noch verschiedene andere Endings, ne? Schauen wir, ob wir dem Rätsel dahinter kommen und so. Wir lernen ja bei jedem Run, sage ich mal, immer ein bisschen dazu. Ist ja auch Sinn und Zweck des Games, so wie es ausschaut. Dann würde ich sagen, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, liebe Leute. Es ist mal ein bisschen anderes Gameplay, aber why not? Lasst mir gerne einen Kommentar, Like oder ein Abo, da würde mich sehr, sehr freuen. Und wir sehen uns dann wieder im nächsten Video. Bis dahin, habe die Ehre und Servus.